Welcome to the LaunchFamily Podcast, where we make sense of modern parenting, one real conversation at a time. I'm your host, Jessica Shelley, a mom of 6 and your trusted friend helping to cut through the noise of parenting advice overload. If you've ever felt like you're just trying to survive the chaos of raising kids while keeping up with your life, you're not alone. Here, we bring you expert insights, actionable strategies, and stories from parents just like you, so you can parent with confidence and focus on what matters most. Let's launch into it. Today, I'm excited to introduce our special guest, Phil Vetrano. Phil is an independent college and career coach with an MBA, a background in software, IT project management, and business intelligence, and a super passionate advocate for early career exploration. As a parent and seasoned professional, Phil's insights help families navigate the overwhelming process of guiding young people toward their future paths. Phil, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jessica, for having me. And you have a wonderful podcast here providing valuable information for parents. I love it.
Yes, well, let's dive into your background a little bit. Give us, our listeners, a little bit more context for who you are. So could you share a little bit more about your background and how your journey led you from IT project management to college and career coaching?
Sure. So when I graduated a long time ago, the computer software business was thriving. And after I graduated college, it was really easy to get a job in any sort of software job. So I performed training at first. So I was doing software training, and then I got into project management. And I love the opportunity to work with a variety of business folks to help them implement software projects, to help them make that as easy as possible and painless as possible. But there's always challenges with change in the workforce. So I'm very proactive, and so this was a great space for me because every project is a change improvement. You're going from one state to another state, and I really enjoyed that, and I did that for a long time.
Yeah, and then, what inspired you to actually start helping families with the career decision-making process? Like, it sounds like those kind of process alignment, optimizations were part of what you were doing in your work. But then why did you decide to jump into helping support families?
Yeah, so great. And there was one piece that I misshared, but you told everybody that I was leading business intelligence as well. So I'm in a guidance counselor session, and parents may be in these guidance counseling sessions with other parents and students, and the guidance counselor said it's never too early to start planning for college. So my son was a sophomore in high school, and so this excited me because it was revolved around a project, it revolved around research, and I'm an analytical guy, so I want to ensure that I'm doing the necessary analysis to help and support my son to make this very big decision. And of course, there's a dollar amount component to this, and it's a big investment that parents are making and that I'm making into my son, and I want to really maximize the dollar value. And I want him and one of his goals is to academically thrive at the college as well as socially thrive. So I dug into a volume of data. So this excited me, and this was just doing it as a hobby and an interest, and something that I was spending time on because I wanted to get a great return on investment. So I'm using all my analytical skills, my research skills, my due diligence skills, all these skills. I'm identifying, oh my goodness, most students don't have these skills. So I had the advantage of being able to ask the right questions associated with aligning to my son's goals and my budgetary goals. So this is something of a blind spot for families. There's 25 skills that students need and or need to tap into in order to make an informed decision. And generally, parents aren't in that mindset of being that manager of your student to say, okay, what are the necessary resources that I need to provide for my son or daughter to thrive academically and socially? Generally, we leave it up to the kids' decisions, and we leave it up to the kids to figure this out all by themselves. And so this is extremely challenging for any student, and we've talked about this. Your brain doesn't fully develop until you're 25. And so I ask you, parents, are you going to put on all this weight on your son or daughter who has a disadvantage already, that their cognitive skills aren't strong enough to make great decisions? However, if you play the role of a great parent, these soft skills, some of these soft skills are really important to share with your child. And this is what they don't teach in schools, and you may not be teaching it at home. And so the question is, are you willing to invest in your students' academic life and life preparation, to invest into these social skills and work with professionals and or other sources? If you're a do-it-yourself type of person, there's online, classes that they could be signing up for professional development, to ensure that they're making a better decision.
Yeah, I think too, like oftentimes when we're thinking about what is the next step for my children after high school, it's like, okay, is it a trade? Is it a college? Is it a career? Right? So it's also like lumped into like college and career readiness, I think is kind of like the general term. But something that you brought up was this idea of career exploration. And so what is your take on that when it comes to like modern parenting, or maybe reframing this conversation as our children are maybe starting high school or maybe even before, to help better prepare them for that transition time after high school?
Yeah, so so from a parent perspective, so I'm a parent of two, a son and a daughter, and one of the things that is always important to the family is the career, because 1/3 of your life is going to be generally spent in a career. So you want to make a great informed decision. But there's 10,000 jobs out there and different careers. And so career exploration is something I dove into to help my son as well as other students, because we as a society do not do a good job in preparing our kids for understanding the career exploration process. Because if it's not shown to us, we're not doing it for our kids. Mm-hmm. And if you figured it out by yourself, parent, are you going to do the same thing for them to figure it out? And how many adults have you met that are not happy with the career choices that they had? It's because they didn't properly vet and thoroughly assess and given the options. So one of the things I share with students is, one of the things that's really important, a really important skill, is to understand your options. And before even understanding your options, you have to open up doors to understand what those options can be. So if you're not getting out there to understand your options, you are limiting yourself. You're limiting yourself as a parent, and you're limiting yourself as a role model for your student. And asking for help is a good thing. CEOs ask for help all the time. So if you would like your son or daughter to act like a CEO, they can if they're asking for help. And certainly, there's not unlimited sources of funds for them to access as a CEO, but they could certainly ask a lot of adults for support and help. And one of the things I also share with them is, you want to surround your kids with people who care about them. And that's not generally a tactic or a strategy that parents are planning to ensure that their kids are taken care of in all sorts of ways. And there's so many lessons in here, but it starts with career exploration. And ideally, parents, you want to know that your child has been exposed to a variety of options. And either you're going to provide that and do a lot of legwork for them to help that exercise, or you're going to count on other people to help them spread their wings and start slow. Because when you're a parent and you tell your kids something, just because you tell them doesn't mean that they're going to be easily able to implement your ideas and or your concepts. You have to show them, or you're getting other people to show them, how this works. And it's just like from a school perspective, there's baby steps to take, there's practice to take, And so this is something of a journey, and it's not just going to happen overnight that your son or daughter is going to know and understand all their options, know and understand all the career exploration components of the variety of categories associated with career exploration. And I have an easy tactic that I use that really helps the student determine what it is that they're interested in. Because one of the things that we ask as adults, and I say it's one of the worst questions you could ask somebody, anybody, but most people are doing it when the kid is 8, 10, 12, 14. What do you want to do for the rest of your life? What an insane question to ask. Are you really want to know the 365 days times maybe I'm going to live till I'm 70 or 80? And do you really want that level of detail? What am I going to do for the rest of my life? And the other question, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Or what careers do you want to pursue? So a better question, parents, is not whether or not they've decided on a career at 10 years old or 12 years old or 16. It's the journey. Do they have a goal? Do they have a goal to figure out what they would like to study and learn and be an expert in, so that they can make a choice of whether this is for them or not? And so that changes the dynamic and the mindset. Instead of assuming your 16-year-old is going to figure all this out before they're in 10th grade or 11th grade, it's unfair to ask them questions without providing them the guidance, the education, the knowledge to be able to sign up to start exploring careers.
I love this conversation, and my mind is already spinning in a bunch of different directions too, from like the application piece of, okay, now what do I do with my kids? I do want to ask though too, when it comes to kind of rewriting this narrative, instead of saying, what do you want to be when you grow up, or, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? How much does like that goal that we're kind of using as that guidepost also influenced by like the type of lifestyle that they might want to live, or like access to different resources, or does happiness play more into their goals than maybe money or monetary sort of, like, what does success look like? Or like, I guess, how does that kind of play into this conversation we might be having with our children?
That's a great question, Jessica. So there are variables associated with your career selection. So when I'm working with the students, it's only when we've identified that's something that they want to pursue and they're serious about it. Otherwise, having all those conversations is not the best use of their time. It's only the best use of their time is when they've decided in their mind that this is something they want to pursue. So I'll give you an example. I had a student who I was working with. His name is Michael. I just met him, and he said he's visited a few colleges. His mom is there, and he wants to be an English major, and he wants to be a journalist. So I'm not persuading him ever on doing something other than that. What I am doing is giving him intel about his decision. And so I'm sharing, and he visited schools, and he said he wanted to go to SUNY Binghamton. And so this is a state school. Mom and dad are happy because it's less expensive than some other schools. And we open up the degree requirements, and all of a sudden I asked him to read it, and he's seeing all this British literature as courses. So just like that, Michael made a decision. I didn't tell him not to do this. He made his own decision that he saw the curriculum because no one showed him how to do this. And adults may think this is something that all kids will know. It's not true. Ask them what the high school degree requirements are. And they just generally saying, I have to take 4 years of science, 2 years of math, 2 years of... But they really don't know what they really need to complete. And they don't know that college is similar to high school as it relates to requirements. But it's much different because it's a specific degree. And there's a lot of risk associated with that degree compared to the risk of a high school diploma, because a high school diploma is a high school diploma. And yes, there's minimum requirements to get one. But in the world of college, there's no college degree that's minimum requirements. Every degree is different at each school. So these are the types of, so that's just one example of he wants to be an English major. Okay, now the conversation about the journalist. So I shared with him, hey, check out the journalism salaries. And just as fast as he made a decision for an English major, he now decided he was not going to be a journalist, even though he enjoys being a journalist because he's on his newspaper and he enjoys writing stories about other activities. And so just like this, he's no longer pursuing journalism. And so this is an example of making assumptions about the decisions you're making. And parents, the assumptions you're making that your student knows and understands what they're signing up to when they are pursuing these things. And this is why the data for college success is not as high as you'd want it to be. So parents, I hope you're sitting down. Only 42% of students will graduate with a degree in 4 years. That means we're not setting up our kids 58% of the time to make a good decision about their pursuits. And so this is a sad number because there's not an effort. There's no initiative, there's no priority in this country to change that. Nor are parents even aware of this statistics. But the other concept with stats is that it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to my son or daughter. Oh,
42% that make it.
That's right. They're going to be in my 42%. So the brightest students are once they get there, it's a big transition. And if they pick something that they are not able to excel in. So I'll give you another example. My son had a friend who was in the world of, she wanted to pursue a biochem major, and she was good in biology, she was good in chemistry in high school, and she did all the things that normal college students do. Normal college students wait and take the class. Let me say that again. They wait to take the class without fully understanding what the material is about. So when you hit a ceiling, especially in the STEM classes, when you hit a ceiling on your ability to understand concepts in the major that you're majoring in, and you hit a ceiling and you can't get over that ceiling, guess what? You can't get a degree. Because if you don't pass all classes within those degree requirements, you're not getting a degree at that school. So, and she was only a junior at the time. So she knew she wasn't going to excel because she was already a junior and she was taking biochem class and there was more coming. And so the opportunity, parents, is that she would have known if she liked this subject so much, she could have been surrounded by people who have already gone on the journey, who are already going on the journey, to tap into the level of knowledge and interest in that particular subject and know before you go. My goodness, you mean you could study before going to take up a course? Absolutely. But our brains, when you're a student, you're never thinking that. Mm-hmm. You're only thinking, I'm going to wait until I take the class, and then I'm going to spend time learning it. But by then, it's too late to know whether this is a good subject for you or not. Because you've made the assumption that this 26-chapter book you were going to comprehend fully after you finish the class. What a great assumption.
Oh man, Phil, I feel like I just took so much from that last little segment. So, like, the order of operations matters, right? Like, by the time that you get to that point, it's too late. So, like, then this idea of coming in again of like exploration, right? So, if we can explore more now, if we can put the time in now, we'll be better prepared to lead towards those outcomes, to be part of that 42%, right? That finish their degree if that's the route they decide to go. When it comes to exploration, that feels really open and foreign. I think given like the way that society is in the United States. So what are some practical ways that parents could maybe engage their child in this? What are resources that are out there? What's that first step towards this career exploration, and when should we start that with our kids?
Sure. So I'm an analyst, and everything's about goals and strategies to accomplish those goals. So there are so many strategies to help with career exploration. It's beyond belief. But it helps to know what is that topic. And that's what you're exploring. The goal is to figure out what topics that they're intrigued with, that they're curious about, that they enjoy learning. And that's the exploration process of determining what it is that excites them. And this is the feeling you want. You want the greatest feeling is when they are talking to you at the kitchen table about the topic that they love, that they learned. Because when you're asking them what happened at school today, generally they're not excited about the classes that they've taken. But if you get them, and you will know when your child is excited about an academic topic or career exploration, whether it's cars, whether it's sports, there's something that you can tap into, that they are diving in. That's what you want. You want your son or daughter to be diving into material that they are learning and excited to learn. And that's when you've achieved. Hallelujah. Life is easier now because your son or daughter is excited about a topic, about a subject. And then you can develop strategies to surround them with like-minded people who've gone on this journey before that can share wisdom, insights, intel about that career to help them. And I share this with families and students. The student has so much power, but they don't know how to use it. So I share with parents to show their students how to leverage that power with adults. And so what I'm explaining is not for every student. Most students are not engaged in talking to adults. It's just something of a level of maturity. But once you tap into what they're really interested in, they will open up. And that's why it's really important to be introducing your kids to adults earlier and make this the norm. Make this the norm for your family to continually introduce other professionals, other friends, and show them that there's opportunity that they may have to learn something. The question is, it's all psychological. Are they ready for those conversations? And the person who's sharing the knowledge, are they able to provide the information in a 10th grade format? Because if you're talking to the brain surgeon,
this is what I do all day. Yeah, I love that. And I think like there's that balance too, right? Of, is my child ready for this conversation? Or maybe as a parent, you feel like you're pressured to help guide them when maybe it's not the right time for them yet. What are your perspectives on maybe even just like starting these communication channels maybe when they're in like middle school or like late elementary school, just talking about careers? I think oftentimes too, we see this kind of track where students or children follow the same footsteps as their parents, right? Like, I'm a 3rd-generation plumber, or I'm a, 6th-generation teacher. Like, we hear that all the time. Or, oh, I've always known I want to be a doctor because my mom's a doctor. And to your, like, proximity principle, too, of, like, this is what they've been exposed to, right? So then, of course, this makes sense that this is what they want to do. But what if they aren't successful in the sciences and they want to be a doctor? Like, that seems like a huge disconnect. So I guess 2 questions here, which would be like, when do we start having these conversations? When do we start exposing them to careers maybe outside of their immediate circle? And then second to that is, how do we maybe guide them while also balancing, like, letting them discover their own passions?
Yeah, so managing expectations is important as a parent. And it's nothing that generally you're talking about. And one of the key concepts that we're actually doing, it's all about planning. It is planning ahead. And the students and the families who plan ahead are absolutely they have the advantage. They have competitive advantage, and they have the advantage to getting them prepared for life, school, college, and careers. And so this should be a goal of every family, is to prepare your kids for life, school, college, and careers. And yes, it's overwhelming, but you start prioritizing, right? So kids don't know how to prioritize. Parents mostly do. They know that, okay, let's talk about what's the important things. And by the way, you don't want to force your kid to learn things that they don't want to. It doesn't work in school. It won't work at home. So you've got to make the decision. Are you going to be able to successfully? So now you have to assess yourself. Are you going to be able to successfully work with your kids on this activity? Or are you going to count on somebody else? And if you are going to count on somebody else, introducing them earlier is better. And letting them plant those seeds. Listen, there's an important activity that you're going to need to do. And this is the activity. Tell them 2 months before, 3 months before. But this is something that you are pressing upon as a parent because you know how important it is for your kids to be prepared for life, school, college, and careers. And so as long as it's a serious conversation with your kids to know what's coming, because you're a planner, and the more you engage in asking for help, they will imitate that. If you're not asking for help at home, they're not going to be asking for help either. And guess who's at a disadvantage in life? The people who aren't asking for help and support. And so this is a major skill and also an ego thing. And so, I'm not going to, like the man with directions. Thank goodness there's GPS now. We don't have to have that joke anymore. But, so this is the preparation and planning that's required. Now, I know I could have been a better parent. Absolutely. I didn't know until I dove into this. Just like anything, any job that you take, there's going to be new components to the job that you didn't know before that's required. And I didn't know that as a parent until I dove into this job of being an independent college and career coach. So I'm fortunate my kids are on great tracks, but I'm thankful. And I can't take all the credit at all in this process. It's only when I dove into it did I realize, wow, and it's because there's no Parent 101, there's no Parent 102. Parents are doing their best, in quotes, but really what's best is when you have a team around you of parent coaches to bounce off ideas and suggestions or read lots of different materials, because there are hundreds of strategies, and generally most parents, they play one or two. and the kids see it coming a mile away because most parents are consistent with the ways they do it. Either it's a ignore kind of thing, or I'm going to press and push them to until I get what I want, which is not a great tactic.
Yeah. Well, I think like from this conversation too, like this word explore, like it shouldn't, like maybe as parents we shouldn't approach it as feeling like so much pressure on our side or on the child's side, right? Like this is something for us to do together, to collaborate on. Like it's going to be messy. We're not going to have the answers right away. Like that's the beauty of it too. Like when I think of exploring, I'm thinking of like, oh, we're going to go on a hike. We're going to get in the dirt. We're going to like do all of these things, right? Like it is going to be a messy process, and where your child ends up on the other side through it may not be what you had always envisioned from the time that they were born in your arms, but also it'll feel more maybe authentic to them too, right? Am I on the right track here, Phil?
So I'm. It's an interesting word that you use because it could be messy for parents if they're doing it themselves.
Yes.
But if you work with a professional, it's an organized method. It's not messy. It's either they're intrigued and they want more, or they've discovered this is not for them, which is a success, by the way, because you've ruled something out that they initially thought that they wanted. And that's a valuable lesson to learn, to help them say it's okay that you like something to a certain degree, and then you found out more because now you're collecting intel, now you're learning more, now you know you don't want to pursue this. And that is, congratulations, you've accomplished the goal of determining whether this was for you or not. And that's not messy.
Yeah, no, I think that's great framing. I think in my mind, as my oldest is 9 right now, I'm like, oh my gosh, this feels really messy, but also really exciting. Like, I can't wait to have this conversation. But I love that you brought that back in. Like, there is resources out there to help guide you step by step, so it doesn't have to feel messy. But I think like this kind of evoking sense of like, these should be conversations we look forward to with our kids, to like learn more about them and their interests, and to whatever capacity, right, they allow us to be part of that process, which, as you mentioned too, developmentally, they probably need us. So we could maybe push on that a little bit more in that experience. But, you know, before we close out today, I want to take some time with some of our questions that have been asked on the platform. At LaunchFamily, you know, we've created a parenting guide called Emmy. So think of her as your kind of like on-call support system for navigating modern family life. So moms can ask her anything from emotional challenges to school routines. So before we go, like I mentioned, I want to share 3 questions that moms are actually asking and get your take on them as someone who's been in the trenches. The first question we have is, my daughter loves art and science, but I have no idea what that could mean for her future career. How do I help her figure that out without pushing her too hard? So, Phil, how do you help families connect a child's interest to real-world opportunities without making it feel like it's pressure?
Sure. So there are opportunities to introduce them to professionals who do this for a living in the arts and the sciences. Absolutely. And the question for you as a parent, you've got to make the big decision, when is the right time to introduce them, to start introducing them. And managing expectations is good. Hey, I've got a friend who is a graphic artist, and she works on computer graphics all the time. Now you're assessing whether that's something that they're interested in. And there's nothing like visuals. So art, they have the benefit in the world of arts. They can see work product. That's not the case for most jobs, unfortunately. You have to read books to know and understand what they're actually, doing and the services they're providing. So that's the encouragement, because there's nothing like seeing somebody paid in the world of the arts, in the sciences, and what it is that they're doing. And then it shares with them, this is part of the exploratory process. And by the way, that one professional may have tons of other connections to help your child to be introduced. Because if you're not in the world of art, who are you going to count on? You're going to count on other people who know people in the world of arts, in the world of sciences. So unfortunately, networking, done correctly, is not being taught in high school. Networking is not also offered at the home, generally. And there's a right way to network. It's not all about selling one position. It's actually about helping each other. And every student, imagine they were all helping each other because they knew how to network, they knew how to help each other, they knew who to go to. So there's an expression. I like to squash different myths. And I cannot, and there's general terms out there and expressions that people just believe, like the customer's always right. As they're stealing the stuff out the door, great. They paid for one item and they took 10. They're not always right. So the thing that I can't squash, it's who you know. The more people you know, the better off you are going to be. So there's an expression, don't talk to strangers. So parents, are you listening to me? Please change that expression when they are in 8th grade and tell them to meet as many professionals as possible. In fact, connect them to as many professionals as possible. And they could be practicing with their friends. Hey, what do your friends need? Can I help them? Oh my goodness, imagine a parent asking to help another classmate. But this is how to show them how it works. But if you haven't taken a networking course, which I understand why, this is something that is a valuable resource for their career. You want opportunities for them? People develop opportunities for them. And they're not going to be interviewing with their friends. They're going to be interviewing with adults. And the key is, how much practice have they had interviewing with adults?
Love that perspective too, of like even your own personal network can be such a great resource for your kids, but even encouraging them to like ask their friend, right? Like, oh, well, what does your dad do? What does your mom do? Oh, could I talk to them? Like, I'm curious about that. Like there, you've just magnified that how many times, right? So if all they're wanting to do is spend time with their friends, encourage them to ask what their friends' parents do. That's actually one of the other questions that we had with Emmy here. So I have some friends in cool jobs, but I'm not sure how to introduce them to my kid in a way that feels helpful and not awkward. So how do I actually use my network to spark a career curiosity? So Phil, you just talked about network as a resource. What are some few practical, like non-intimidating ways that parents can do that with their kids?
Okay, so it's because they feel awkward. It's because they haven't practiced. It's because they haven't been prepared. So it's self-assessment. Am I good at this? Am I good at meeting new people? No, I don't want to meet new people. So I have my close buddies and my friends, and I've never engaged in a conversation of ever wanting to help them in job opportunities, nor have I asked them for job opportunities. So this is new exploration for parents. And so what I would share with them is be transparent and just share with your friends, I'm working on a goal with my daughter to help them be exposed to a variety of different careers because she has this big 12th grade decision to make. And I would like for her to take advantage of the relationships that we have together to share 15 minutes of your time to explain what it is that you've done in the past to get the job that you have, or any career-related discussions about their journey, because that's what the student will look at, is how did they get there? That's an important component, as opposed to, yes, what it is you're doing is important, but how did you get there? Because it does evolve into a variety of things. And once they hear, and hopefully, that you've had many jobs, that is tremendously valuable for the students to gain confidence that they know that they can get many jobs in the future, because the level of pressure that kids are under these days It's exhausting, and a lot of kids are because of the affordability of homes and rent. They're in the homes. 27-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 24-year-olds, because it's extremely expensive, and they could save money, and hopefully they're employed, but not all of them are employed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Phil, well, thank you so much for sharing your insights and experiences today. You know, your journey from IT project management to becoming a trusted college and career coach is truly inspiring, and the practical strategies for early career exploration are truly invaluable. We appreciate how you've detailed the importance of building professional networks and, of course, guiding our children through critical decisions that shape their future in a way that feels authentic and less stressful. And as always, if today's episode resonated with you, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, take care and know that you are not alone in this journey of parenthood.